So the first question is, what are admissions officers looking for? What do they want? And when you sign into webinars that other universities are doing, or you sign into webinars that admissions officers are doing, you ask them, what do you want? The first thing they'll tell you is there is no formula. There's no way we can tell you, what to write about. We can only tell you to be true to yourself and to be genuine and to make sure that you're expressing who you are. And for a student, that's really frustrating to hear because all you want is to be told, look, what is it that you're writing about? What does it mean to be true to who I am? So, for example, the first thing that they're looking for is your character and potential, curiosity and insight, leadership and service, motivation and values. It can be all four of those things or one of the four of those. Within the essay, your character and potential can be shown by the choices that you're making. For example, have you ever stood up for someone when it was the right thing to do? Have you ever quit a race halfway through? And how did it make you feel for the rest of your life or for what other future moments? Right? What is your potential for character and your potential for things? So, have you ever been involved in community service activities? And if so, how can that translate into who you become in the future? Curiosity and insight would be more if you're going along the road of intellectual curiosity and you're talking about an ethical decision you had to face. Or you might be talking about something that leads you down into the depths of research where you end up searching for why black holes exist. And then you go from there into other aspects of astronomy. And I'm not really sure why I chose astronomy because I don't know a lot about it. But for example, those YouTube videos that will lead you and lead you and lead you. And the more that you can talk about that is the more you're talking to me about your curiosity and insight. Leadership and service would be tied more directly to your extracurricular activities. So, are there times when you've been a leader and you've succeeded or failed? Are there times in service when you've succeeded or failed? And how has that impacted who you are? And then motivation and values. So, can I tell what motivates you, right? Do you make choices the way that you make them because your parents were a role model or a good example? Do you make the choices the way that you do because your parents weren't there for you and you had to learn how to do it all your own? Was it because a friend betrayed you in the past and you realized how that feeling felt and you never wanted someone to feel that way? The second thing is, how do I bring across those points? And the answer for me is empathy, awareness, and humor. I might bring something across through empathy by either empathizing with someone or by making the reader empathize with me. And that empathizing with me would be, I have to open up and I have to be able to let someone in for them to be able to empathize with me. I also have to think about which of our experiences are relatable. So as I'm telling anecdotes, right, I might be talking about something extremely nuanced. Let's say you are a chess prodigy. There are not going to be a lot of chess prodigies that right? But everyone can empathize with what it means to fall short of being the best. Oh, I suppose not everyone, but people can empathize with aspects of being a chess prodigy. People can empathize with aspects of loneliness, which can sometimes be tied to intellectual achievement. People can identify with aspects of let's say you play chess because you enjoy the control that you have over the board, right? That is something that other people can empathize with. So think of where your essay is relatable and where it can cause the reader to say, okay, I kind of get this person. Awareness. You are not expected to be perfect, right? They're not looking for, I do this and I do that and I'm amazing at all these things. Awareness means that you know where your faults lie and you know where your strengths lie, and you're able to portray those both in a very clear manner and to identify the things you want to improve on or to identify the things you have already improved on. So for example, I can be very argumentative. And it's not that I want to write an essay where I suddenly hide that aspect for myself and it shows that I'm not argumentative, but I might talk about a time when that went too far. And when it was more important for me to be right than it was for me to recognize the other point of view. And I'll give you an example. In my commencement address at Princeton, Jeff Bezos, who's the CEO of Amazon, he spoke at the commencement, and it was an excellent speech. And he talks about the fact that he was an excellent kid at math. And when he was, I don't remember how old, let's say when he was, 13 years old, he was driving in the car with his grandparents and he was always good at math and they always praised him for how amazing he was. And his grandmother was smoking. And he did some quick math in the back of the car. And he said, Granny, if you smoke X more cigarette. If you smoke this many cigarettes per day, that means that you're smoking this many per week, which means that you're doing this, this, this. And if this is the probability that smoking kills, then you will most likely be dead in 10 years. And he told that to his grandmother at a very young age. And she started to cry. And his grandfather took him aside and he told him, he's like, Jeff, like you will always be a smart kid. And it's phenomenal that you're so good at math. But you have to recognize when being right or when delivering, showing your intelligence, showcasing your intelligence is not as important as recognizing what it means to be human and what it means to recognize how to deliver something kindly. And kindness will be more important in your life than intelligence. Right. And that was what was his commencement speech was about. That would make an amazing essay because it shows that self-awareness. And if he were going to continue it off, let's say he wrote that as an essay, it wouldn't just be about that one individual moment. It would then stretch forward into how that has affected his actions today. For example, I doubt Jeff Bezos is suddenly known for like only kindness, right? He's still going to be a smart, shrewd, ruthless business person, but he would show awareness in how that has affected his actions and also in way it has not affected his actions. So empathy, awareness, and then humor. Humor. I'm not particularly funny. I don't write humorous essays. You don't have to if you're not humorous either. But I would say that humor is one way to just be a little bit more relatable. So if you feel like you can get more conversational, this is not an expository essay. This isn't a school essay where you're just listing out, like the things that you do and why you do them. If you feel like humor is will work there, make sure that you bring it in. Grammar, organization, and style, the typical components of an essay. I do want to see that. If you're an admissions officer, you want to see that. It doesn't mean that you have to have intro, body, conclusion in the exact same way that you would for a school essay. But if you're using slang or you're using colloquialisms, it should be because that makes sense for the essay that you're writing, not because you have poor grammar. All right. It should be a stylistic choice of yours. And you want to pay attention to just having a strongly worded essay. And then your intro and your conclusion are where you open and where you close, where the admissions officer sees you and then leaves you. And so those are the two places where you want to make sure that your grammar is impeccable, but you also want to make sure that you're being as specific as possible and that you are conveying what your motivations are.